Morning, ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. The ISU 152, the BL-10, the BL-10.EXE. Yes, one of the best guns in the entire game, the BL-10. Now, this tank, the ISU, is a fantastic tank, and now it has the graphics, the HD model. It looks an absolute beast, and it is a god, or it has a god of a gun. Now, this gun is pretty much the best in tier 8 standard. Now, there are tanks out there, like you've got the SU-101, the BL-10, that actually has a better premium round than this. But to be honest, you should not really be using premium rounds when you're using the ISU 152. So, armor, I mean, the armor's nothing. You're not going to get any bounces really on your armor unless they hit your gun mantlet or, of course, your gun. Other than that, you've got nothing. 95mm is pretty much the best you're going to get. DPM, I mean, DPM's not bad at 3167. The reload time is just 12 seconds. Penetration is a whopping 286mm, which is the best in tier 8. And of course, your APCR is a 329. So honestly, you don't need to run it with the rammer. Run it with calibrated shells just to get that DPM up a bit, because you don't need the extra penetration. You already have enough pen to get through anything, and if you can't, yeah, of course, 329 on your APCR, you will get through things even in tier 9. Damage, you have a 640 alpha gun, 545 on your APCR, and 960 on your HE. So yeah, pretty good. If you can get that HE, there are plenty of juicy targets out there to try and get the HE out. With 90mm of pen as well, you will get through a few tanks. Aim time is 4.8, dispersion 0.371. So not the greatest, but you know, you make do. And only 6 degrees of gun depression. It does, however, have a 43 kilometers per hour speed, meaning that you can get around the map or get into position pretty quickly. Now we're going to jump into 2 battles that someone or people have sent me, and both battles are absolutely amazing. Now, the thing with the ISU 152, because it doesn't have the armor, it's a difficult tank to play, and there are many different ways that you can play the tank. But I would honestly recommend, you know, one of those TDs where you are at the back of the map farming the damage, because even from distance you're going to pen most things. Get into a position that you can have shots, because you do have to remember it doesn't have any armor. So if you are frontline, you're just going to get ripped apart, and you want to keep this gun in the game for as long as possible, because no matter what you're going to come up against, especially if you are top tier, you're going to be the best gun in the match. So you, with the high alpha and the opportunity to do over 1,000 damage with the HE, you need to keep in the game. And now this is a failed shot, but even so, I mean, 400 failed HE. I understand why this guy took the shot. He wanted to get the damage before his team get the damage before him. So again, nice little snapshot there against the Panther 2. And as I said, you want to be careful. You don't want to lose your hit points for no reason, especially when you are coming up against tanks like the Panther 2 with the DPMs that these tanks have got, and any medium tank. You've got to remember, you don't have a turret, so you can easily be circled. The rear of you can also be HE'd as well, so be careful of those tanks like the BL-10, the Smashers, everything like that, and even of course the ISU 152. Be careful of these tanks coming up behind you, because you are pretty weak from behind. Really weak, and people will be able to HE you. So yeah, just, I mean, stick at the back of the map, behind your team. Let your team get shot, let your team open up the enemy, and you've just got to be there for when the enemy are spotted. Of course, because of the accuracy and the aim time, you have to bear in mind that you need to aim your shots, because you will miss some shots if you're not aiming. And again, with the alpha that this gun has got and the penetration and everything like that, you need to make every shot count. And you can see here, I mean, 160 block damage from the Panther so far, and he's a one-shot. So you can't rely on the armor. It's going to be very rare that you're going to bounce shots. You'll probably bounce more shots in a Borzik than you would the ISU 152, because people will hit the gun of the Borzik, where this has literally just got no armor at all. But yeah, it's definitely the best gun pretty much probably in the game, if I'm honest. Like, the gun is truly amazing. And yeah, don't run it with calibrated shells. Honestly, guys, don't run it with calibrated shells. You don't need that extra pen. Just use the rammer just to get higher DPM than the penetration. And of course, that was a bit of a bad miss there on the T23E3. And I mean, 3.3k damage, 3.4k damage, gonna get a shot there. Nice 701 roll into him. Brings the damage so far up to 4.1k damage. And you can see, like, this guy didn't even try. He didn't even try, and he's gonna manage to get almost 5k damage. 4.7k damage there. Nice 4 kills. And he made that look very, very easy. And that's not really the player. That is the tank. Now, that was a lot of damage. You will get this kind of damage quite regularly if you play the tank correctly. Of course, you have got maps like Castilla, Dead Rail, which I would recommend sitting at the back. Try and get as much damage as you can early on, and then once you've saved your hit points, you can then rush in, because you do have that speed as well to get into the game very, very quickly if needed. But yeah, you don't want to die early on. I mean, you've got one of the best guns in the game. You need to keep that in the game for as long as possible, and as long as there's an ISU 152 alive doing damage, then you have every chance of winning. But you have to keep this gun in the game. Go with your team. Don't go frontline. Don't just rush in like you would something like an Object 263 in tier 10 or a Foch, because you don't have that armor profile. You need to sit at the back. If you've got no shots, then of course relocate and find yourself some shots, because I mean, even if you are sat at the back of the map, if you do need to get out of there, you do have that speed to get out of there. 43 kilometers an hour. I mean, look at this guy. Yes, he's not sat at the back of the map, but he's going to get these guys down, and these guys are isolated. The T49 there goes the Leo. And all of a sudden, this T49 is all by himself. And of course, yes, he does get shot, but the T49 is not going to last much longer, because an AP round, yes, he could have probably used HE there, and it would have been game over for the T49. But they managed to take care of him anyway. And that's the 2 mediums and the light tanks cleared for this side of the map. Yes, there is a tank destroyer, but you can see him resetting his camo, because again, you've got no armor, so don't try and bait shots or anything like that. Just be safe with the tank. Play it safely. Only take the shots that you know you can hit, and try to aim your shots. Don't try the snap shots, because yes, some might hit, but you don't have the gun, you don't have the accuracy, you don't have the aim time. So just take that extra time in aiming your shot fully to make sure that you guarantee the pen. So this game, I mean, it's going to be a high damage game in this this ISU 152. And again, like I said at the start, I love what Wargaming have done to this tank with how it looks. I think the HD model looks absolutely fantastic. It looks like a proper beast. It really does look like a beast. So far this game, 2 minutes gone. There's only 4 tanks left alive on the enemy team already. And this kind of situation, when it is a 6 versus 4, you can sort of rush in, but there's no need to rush in right now, because our guy's going to get a bit more damage before he is going to rush in. So there is the KV4 there. Now, a few of these shots, I mean, if you look at them, I think he's quite lucky that some of these shots penned, especially not that shot, but the shot before. It looked like it was going for the track. But so far, making every shot count, and there goes another shot on the KV4. Brings the KV4 now down to a 1 shot. So luckily they didn't rush in, because they are starting to die, and it's now a 5 versus 4. And of course you've got the shark up there, and again this is going to be a nice shot. I don't even know how this penetrates, but it's the BL-10. The BL-10 just pens everything. Some shots you look, like I said, how would that pen? It looks like he's hitting the red or even the track, and it's still going through. The same again here, right at the track, sort of the front track, and it still manages to penetrate. So yeah, that is the BL-10 for you. One of the best guns in the game. Everybody knows about the BL-10. If you don't, you should. If you haven't played the ISU 152, do go play the ISU 152, because it is an absolutely beast of a tank when put into that situation where you can actually use that gun. If you try to YOLO, then you're just going to get ripped apart. So now it is a 5 versus 2. Now they can just rush in. Our guy is on 5.6k damage, gets 1 bounce there. That is pretty much all he's going to get. And now is when he is going to rush in, because you don't care. It's a 5 versus 2. You don't care. He's now on 6k damage. If he dies now, he's already done a fantastic job. 6.2k damage in a tier 8 tank. You will see that regularly with this tank. I'm not saying you'll do that regularly, but you will see this kind of damage regularly with this tank. Now, just the M4 FL10 left alive. So I feel sorry for this guy now, because as I've said, this is a tier 7. He just needs to bounce one shot or a little ram. As soon as he gets to the tank, he dies. Now, that changes a lot, because if he would have got that ram, he would have finished with 7,000 damage in a tier 8 tank. So that is the BL-10 for you. One of the best guns in the game. If you haven't played it, you should. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the ISU 152. Do you like how it looks? Just look at that. It looks an absolute beast of a tank. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm meadsy, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye. With